Hello, Lucy here. I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate our thriving community. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but we have over 1,000 listeners, racking up nearly 3,000 views on YouTube and are closing in on 2,000 downloads, all in just 9 months. I mean, that's no small feat, and that's down to you. Thank you for your amazing support. You know, it's lovely to hear about all the connections and collaborations that are blossoming among you, our listeners, and the guests. If you love the show, then please do consider leaving a review. Your feedback not only boosts the show in the charts, but it also helps new listeners find the wilderness. So, share the episodes with your friends and family. And remember to subscribe to the Wilderness of Creativity podcast. Stay wild. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wilderness of Creativity. I'm Lucy and today I'm chatting to Camille Mudmi, a highly motivated engineer and a chartered member of the Institute of Mechanical Engineers. Camille's exceptional leadership and interpersonal skills have propelled her to significant achievements in the design and integration of complex jet engine and aircraft systems. Camille is also a passionate pilot and dancer, blending her technical expertise with her creative spirit. In this episode, Camille talks about her journey as she navigates her dual identities. She explores the exciting intersection of engineering and the arts and shares her experiences choreographing her first music video. We also reflect on how we integrate arts and sciences in education and the importance of finding balance in creative projects. I cannot wait for you to listen to this episode as Camille inspires us with her unique perspective on innovation and resilience. Right, let's get to the episode. Right, so the card that's come up for you this morning is You Are Entirely Up to You.
It's quite fitting actually, because I was reading your questions in advance and a lot of it is linked to this.
Because you are it's almost like you lead two very different lives.
Yeah, I do and I don't at the same time, because it's something that comes up a lot actually. Like I'm always myself in any situation. So, more or less, there's some times where you have to switch something a little bit down. So, but I'm always, I never feel like I'm split or like I have to play a role in different situations. It's like, it's still me. So yeah, like, I guess I was talking to my husband last night. I was thinking, sometimes it's really weird. Like, I feel like I don't really fit anywhere, and at the same time, it's okay. So, in the sense that I'm in a room, full of engineers and men generally and geeky people, and I'm like, I don't actually have a role model. Like, I don't actually know people like who look like me, who do what I do, but who also do that job. So I never really have a role model or like a model to like rely on. But and it's kind of like maybe the same in dance. Like I have a bit of an imposter syndrome where I'm in that room and sometimes, as a teacher, and I think like it's full of, teachers that have been properly trained and they've been doing that for a long time. Whereas I'm not, and I've learned myself and don't really come from that world originally. So I always feel like I'm always like I don't know if there's an expression in English, like the odd duck or whatever.
The odd duck, the odd one out.
The odd one out. Yeah, the odd one out. But at the same time, because I felt like this all my life, I think I'm used to it and I'm happy with it. And it is a strength in a way.
You're empowered. You're empowering yourself. And actually, well, you're probably the role model that people will be looking up to. So you might not have the role model, but you are the role model. I mean, it is true. I mean, how did you get into engineering? Was it something that you'd always wanted to pursue as a career?
Yeah. So I've always had a massive admiration, like, I don't know, like, let's say admiration or attraction to like the sky, the universe, like flying, just big, like amazing engines and amazing things that human make, together. Like I've always thought, wow, like I don't know if I thinking of a rocket, like a space rocket. I always thought this is the coolest thing you can think of. And that's ever since I was a little girl. I think probably because of my dad's an engineer and my mom is an artist. So my dad's always been, oh, look at all these things, blah, blah. And my mom's always like, oh, look at this painting, look at this art. So I've always had that, both things. But I think engineering, I think it's, I've always liked everything at school. But I always thought science and maths and physics were the easiest subjects. So they're like just straightforward, logical. There's no, they're kind of satisfying once you get something and you do the equation, it works. It gave me a satisfaction. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. I like that. So I just went into that branch basically because I enjoyed the subjects. But I also really, really loved literature, philosophy, arts. I was in the singing, choir, and I was like the main singer. So I love that as well. But I guess there's a bit of a pressure from society to, oh, if you're good at maths, you should do math because that's what's going to give you the money. So I think it's a combination of all these things, which means I went, well, obviously I'll choose science, and because I like both. So,
and I think now there's a real push on young girls and those who are interested in sort of STEM subjects being encouraged to go down that route. Because there are, like you said, there's not many role models.
The need of putting people in boxes has never been greater, I feel. And it's opposite to everything that's being said about diversity. No. I think I don't know what's happening at the moment in the world, but we talk a lot about diversity, about inclusion, about blah, blah. But in the facts, you actually put people in boxes a lot more than you should, I think. Anyway.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want to do you're like, well, actually, I might want to do this right now, but in the future, I might want to change. And it's not because you're 40 or 50 that you can't just do something different. And in fact, you should do different things at the same time.
I think so.
I think it's healthy, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is, because with trying different things, you gain different perspectives. You meet new people. You actually get an opportunity to reflect on your misconceptions and your misunderstandings, and maybe your prejudices. Almost like you can kind of redefine
Absolutely
who you are throughout your whole life. I mean, I definitely feel like I'm at that stage now.
Every time you multiply, it gives you strength in your previous subject. So as an engineer, I'm doing some dancing. The fact that I've done choreographing and built dance projects, I got confidence from that, which means that when I go back to my engineering job, I see, I don't know, I just approach things differently. And same for my dancing, because I'm a engineer and I do go through project very thoroughly, very structured. I don't approach, I apply that on my dancing, which people find it very refreshing because, the way you conduct projects. So yeah.
Within engineering, there are patterns, there are the structure, and it's, like you said, it's really refreshing to then approach a different sort of subject area in your life with that understanding. The same with your choreography. So how has your approach to engineering then influenced your choreography then? Because that's really interesting.
In my day-to-day job, I work with people. So I have problems to solve, let's say, and generally they're problems I've never come across or no one else came across. They're new things, and I have to find a way of gathering people around me, experts, people who've done similar things before, listening to what they have to say, but then try to put together a solution, but listening to different opinions, weighing things together, giving the energy as well to my team. So like giving the energy, the passion, the want to achieve it. Because there's very little. I was gonna say very little science in engineering, which is not true, but there's as much human as science is in engineering. So most of the problems you'll solve is not because people are clever or because they know the science. It's because it's passionate people who want to achieve a solution. So it comes from like the energy and the people and how they interact together, how happy they are to come to work, how happy they are to talk to you. it's literally a human thing. So I
Wow.
think
You need to say that louder for the people at the back who think, it's all about the science.
no, it's not. It's not that you sit there at your desk like solving problems. You don't. You really don't. You talk. You're like, oh yeah, sounds. Oh, but I'm not sure about that. How was your day, by the way? How was your weekend? Yeah, that's how it works. You build relationships. Um, and yeah, and that definitely applies to building a project, dancing with people, transmitting my passion. When I teach, it's more than just step 1, step 2, step 3. Like, you want to see someone who's there because they want to transmit something. They want to they want to bring something to the table. So then people bring the energy back. So that dynamic is very similar. And then I guess you're right. I guess the pattern, because there's a podcast called Curious Cases. I don't know if you know it.
Curious Cases. I haven't, but we'll put it in the show notes for people to check it out.
It's a science podcast, but it's like it's little things, like they approach different little topics, like rhythm, for example, or can we be bored to death? I've listened to this one recently. That's it. So they're talking about rhythm, and they're explaining how rhythm links people together, and how following the groove link people together. Engineering, as you say, there's a lot of patterns. They have linked mathematics to music multiple times. So when generally if you're good at math, you will have an appreciation. Like, it doesn't mean you're going to be good at dancing or whatever, but it just means you have an appreciation for like the music, the rhythm, the pattern.
I'd like to explore that a little bit more, and I think there must be research out there.
I'm not an expert in it at all, but I've listened to this like multiple times, and I had friends, in university who are extremely good at mathematics, but like, almost genius level. I'm not good like this at all. But they were really good at writing music and actually reading music and creating music and being really good at the piano. Like just really. So I think there's definitely something there, just picking up patterns and but it's also just if people listen and they're like, oh, I'm not good at reading music, or I'm not good at math. I really think that it's not just. I think yes, there's a part of like you're born with some abilities and not sometimes, but I think there's a lot of it which is in being curious, trusting yourself that you're gonna get there, because people expect that you're just gonna come and it's gonna be easy. Like it's hard to read music. You have to spend ages like learning what things mean, the different scales.
There's a discipline.
It's a discipline. Thank you. It's called the discipline, isn't it? It's called a discipline. So most of the things is effort, it's time spent, it's curiosity, and it's having also the right teachers. So sometimes you find someone, like in mathematics, I had really awful teachers and they made me hate it. And I sometimes found one guy who was amazing and it made me love it. So you have to find the right teachers and spend the time and trust yourself.
And that kind of brings it back to what you were saying earlier about connection, about human connection. If you feel that with somebody, then you can learn from them.
100%.
I'm desperate to talk to you about that music video because it was incredible. Like, how did that all come about?
No, well, I mean, it's actually it's going to be interesting to talk to you about this, because I don't say something I don't do very often, and you might be surprised, is reflex on what I do. I know it sounds really weird because I do so much things, but I don't very often pause and reflect. I'm always like on the next thing. Like I'm always like, okay, well, I've done that video, I've done this. Now what's the next project? I need to do something bigger, better, that. And I don't sit down and be like, what did I learn from this? I don't do that very often. And I think it's really bad. I think you should do this.
Why do you think you don't do that?
Why don't I do this? I think I have an idea. The way I've been raised has always been what's next. As in, okay, you've done that, cool, but don't celebrate too much, because that wasn't as good as what you could have done or what you're going to do next. So it's never the celebration of success is a foreign concept in my life. Like it's getting better, but it's kind of a little bit foreign. It's like you've done something, but don't celebrate too much. Keep looking ahead. Keep looking ahead. Don't sit on what you currently have. And basically, that's it's good and bad. It's good and bad. Like you have to have a balance.
You do have to have a balance because
Yeah.
sometimes, especially when I was younger, I don't know about you, but I was always on to the next thing, never stop, always on to the next thing. Where's the next project? Where's the next connection I can make? And I think as a freelancer, that was really important because I had no time to rest. I just needed to keep going. Whereas now, the older I'm getting, I realize, like you are, it sounds like you're realizing the importance of rest and pausing and celebrating those wins. I mean, you know, you've achieved so much, and certainly that video.
I know. Do you know what? Like, if I had seen that video 6 months ago, when I thought about it, I would be like, no way, I can't. No way, I've done that. No way. Like, I would have been like all over the place. I'd be like, oh my god, look. But because it's a process, and you go through it, and you day by day, then you have the final product, and So I did an improv on his song. So it's a rapper from the US, and I saw his song on Instagram, and it was like a live video. It was an acoustic version of the song, and I don't know why I loved it. I was like, I don't know if you're like me, but when I love a piece of music, I get obsessed with it. I just get obsessed with it. It's like I just listen to it nonstop, and I just can't stop until actually can't listen to it.
I'm exactly the same. I'm like, I need to absorb it.
Like, I need to absorb it. And I think that's us dancers as well. Like, I think because we love music so much, we have to feel it in our body, and we have to dance to it to like fully appreciate it. So I listened to it, and I did an improv, and I sent him the video of me dancing. And I always do this. If I like something and I've done something on a song from someone, even if it's Beyonce or Britney Spears, I don't care. Like, I just send them the video because I mean, they're human like us. Like, they make music, and it's probably quite nice to receive a video of someone dancing on your music. So I sent him the video, and I thought, I wasn't expecting any reply. I was like, he's in Miami doing his thing, and he just replied to it. He went, "Wow, that's really cool. Like, thanks for dancing on my music. Like, you're really talented." And it wasn't even I'll show you the video. It's not a good video. It's not that good. It's just me vibing to the rhythm, like, And so I said, well, wait. I can do something better than that. Like, I can actually choreograph this, bring dancers in the picture, and do a cool. And then originally, I wasn't thinking of a video. I wasn't thinking of like a proper videography. I wasn't thinking of this. I was thinking I'll do a choreography and I'll send it to him. And then I just, and then an idea builds on another. I sent a request to people that I knew in the dance community, like, who's interested. Obviously, no one knows of me. I've never done anything like this before. I put a team together. So already we were like 14 dancers. And then at the end, we were seven left. And people from Nottingham and people from Derby. People I know and people I don't know as well. So there are like people who I've never met before and who just joined for like sessions. And then we worked on it, but it was complicated because it's voluntary. We all have jobs. It's not like I pay people. It's really difficult to get people at the same time in the same room.
So many things, so many logistics to sort out, and like people are traveling and people can't come to that session, and you're choreographing. And I remember watching you on Insta, like, almost documenting the process, of this is what I'm going to be doing, and then this is what the dancers are going to be doing around me, and then we'll stop, and then they're going to do something, and all of those like little sections of choreography. Nobody, unless you are doing that, or unless you've ever had the opportunity to choreograph something, it is nuts.
It's nuts. It's nuts. And I learned that because I have no idea how nuts this was.
It's because you're like trying to go through what you're doing, and then see, obviously this is how I dance now.
How do I bring what I have in my head into reality? and it's so difficult because I'm not trained. I'm never done that. So it was just like, yeah, but I had to. I mean, the video is great. I love it, but it's not it. I wanted to do more. I wanted to do different things. That's why I want to do a new project where there's more differences, and it's not just one side. It's 360, and there's more interactions and different groups doing different things. And so, but it's so you can't just start like this, right? You have to start somewhere. So it's always like start by something that you can actually do, and then build on it, right? So I think that's as what I want to do. But the main thing through this was, so I love creating, I love the choreography, I love, but the main thing that means this project came to life was the resilience, like the let's keep going, let's trust the vision, because it started in summer and it ended up in like end of December, so it's a long time for such a small, it wasn't a big piece of choreography, but it took a long time because of people and people leaving, people coming back, my inexperience, so like trying to make things work when I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it, and and there were moments where I was like, should I give up? Should I give up? And then people also, and then the dancers themselves as well, they're like, oh, we want to do at some point you want to do something else. Maybe you'll get bored of the music, and you had to, what allowed it to happen was really trust yourself, trust the process, trust your vision, even to the point where there's a moment, and I'm sure with your podcast, you probably had that, or the moment you're like, I'm just going to give up. It's just too hard. Like I'm not, that's it. And when you reach that moment, you have to be like, no, remember why you want to do this. Remember.
Hello, Lucy here. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We will continue with our conversation shortly, but I wanted to encourage you to take a moment to reflect on a couple of things. Firstly, what insights can you draw from our discussion so far today? Are there any new ideas or perspectives that you're considering implementing in your own projects? Remember, creativity flourishes when we pause to reflect. So if you can, just take a moment now to jot down your thoughts and maybe come back to them after you finish listening to the episode. And if you're enjoying our conversation today, don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Or you can leave us a review. I'd love to hear your feedback. Right, let's get back to the episode. You're so in the thick of it, but it is the thing that keeps you going.
Yes.
It's the why you're doing it. It's the vision. And I think for anyone who's listening, if you're exploring your creative passions and you've got to the point where you feel a bit stuck, jaded, tired, lost, just keep going.
Keep going.
Because you'll get to the end. You'll get to another point in the road and you'll go, wow, look at the resilience and the curiosity and the bravery, the courage that brought.
It's worth it, isn't it? And there is a say that, and I think again is proven scientifically, that there is nothing in the world that is that you can enjoy as much. I'm not going to say very well, but that it's only the hard things that bring the biggest satisfactions. So there's nothing that brings you, you never find anything easy that will bring you a super high level of actually happiness and satisfaction and pride. Like, and I know it's so annoying, isn't it? It's so annoying, but it's how it works. And it's almost like, I think at molecular level, there's a reason, like when you have, for every pain you have, there's an equivalent amount of pleasure. So like, when you go for you do a very difficult like running session, or like you run afterwards, you'll feel like really proud. It's like that sense of like achievement, that sense of pride. It's bigger than just, I'm not talking just pleasure, physical pleasure. I'm talking about like that achievement, that sense of pride. And similarly, when you have extreme pleasure, like, you scroll through your feed and you're like, oh yeah, you've got all this dopamine, there will be an equal response of pain, like because your body has to adjust. So it's like So you have to be you have to be conscious that you have to put, if you're creative, you put the effort in, because the reward is huge. Like you put something out there that is you, that makes you like, wow, I've done that. Like, and then people love it, and then you share your joy, your passion. And and you know what? The first thing I thought when I finished the video, and people were like, "Oh, it's cool, it's amazing." The first thing I thought was, "I want to do another one." And whereas for 6 months I spent time thinking, you know what? It's really hard. I should stop. It's really hard. As soon as the creative process is finished and it's out there, you want more, because it's like that. It's that happiness that it gives you, and you're
It's
like,
that rush that you get. There's a saying in the theatres, like if you're feeling like low, or you feel disconnected in any way, or you feel ill, or anything like that, Doctor Theatre will sort it out. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like, for me, like when I'm directing a show, it's really difficult to start. You have to get your vision, and then you're in the process, and it's really hard, and you have to get the momentum, and you do have to. It's kind of like training for a football match. The players have to be ready, and you're like gearing up to it, and then they shoot a goal. It's a live performance, and then it's gone, and it'll never exist again. And even that I find so beautiful.
yeah.
And then I get to the end of the half term, and I have a rest, and then I go, right, what's next?
Right, what's next? Because that was great. And then you just forget all the difficulties, don't you? It's like, the brain is amazing. You just forget because you've done something that's worth it.
There are all of these correlations between sort of the mathematical brain, engineering, and creative arts. And I think, rather than separating everything, where we should be maximizing those connections in education a bit more.
It's something very modern as well. In the past, it wasn't separated. And when I say the past, I'm talking, like ancient Greece and stuff. Like it was the same thing. So, not even as far as ancient Greece, to be honest. I think even 16th, 17th century, like 18th century, I think the subjects were together. Like philosophy, science, arts. You had to be good at all of it.
Cross-curricular links should be emphasized much, much more, I think.
Exactly. And exactly, you're right. And I never really thought of this because I'm not in education, but yeah, and it's also like, of course you have to separate, because all subjects became really deep now, very complicated, but you still shouldn't put people necessarily in like, oh, you're good at math, that's it, you're now math person, you're a math person, then you have that etiquette, that brand. And no, like, you should encourage people to like do both, and don't also, like, I don't know if you do that in England, but in France, maybe in England it's worse, I'm not sure, but in France it's seen as the science topics are great, art topics are for the people who struggle in science, and we shouldn't see it like this. It should be like they're equally equally great, equally important, equally. I don't think we should have that sort of judgment. That I don't know if you have that in England, but I know in France it's a bit like that. It's a bit, you went to literature. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. There is a hierarchy of subjects.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't be a hierarchy, because it's all human subject. They're all human subject. That's so important as well. Like, you can't live without art. The first thing all these engineers and all these people do when they come home, they switch on the TV and they watch a film. Otherwise they couldn't function.
Because we can't be in our heads the whole time.
We have to, exactly. It's the feel element. We want to transform people into robots, and it's not. And I think I don't know how to articulate it, but I find there's a lot of people struggling with mental health, and it's in science a lot as well, because it's you want to dehumanize. You want people to become computers almost, like, oh, they're really good, they're really like on it. But I find like we have to use our bodies. Like like the dancing, you asked me like what's a normal day for me. If I always dance at some point through the day, like I don't know how I manage it, but I come home and I go in my room and I put some music and I dab and I move my body. I feel my body. I forget like the thinking part. I'm just flowing. I'm just connecting to my body. And I think that simple thing, I think everybody should be doing it. I actually think if everybody did this for like 15, 30 minutes a day, it would solve a lot of issues, like a lot of issues we have with ourselves, with our body, watch the screen for so long. Like, well, yeah, go and dance in your garden or in your room or in your shower. You need to move. You pointed something really interesting, which is, and something I don't understand it. I don't know. I don't have the answer. Maybe you do. But we always seem to accept kids, for children, for kids, for teenagers. Oh, it's great. You're going to dance class. That's amazing. Go for it. Blah, blah, blah. And then when we're adults, there's this moment. I don't know when it happens exactly, but where we're like, oh no, I'm not dance. I can't dance. No one actually, no one, I'm exaggerating, but it's not something that's common. People accept it a lot more when it's children. And when I say at Rolls-Royce at my work, when I say I'm a dance teacher, the first thing people say is, "Oh yeah, you teach kids. Why do you teach? Because my kids loves dancing. Can they come to your class?" And I'm like, "I teach adults." And the look on their face is like, "Huh? Oh, you teach adults? But what do you mean? Like, what is adults? Like, adults can also go and dance. Like, it's so strange. So if you're right, why is it something so natural in children? And then when we're kids, society is like, no, now you need to do serious stuff. Now you have to go and run. It's like, no, I just want to dance. I want to dance and do stupid things with my body, and
We become much more self-conscious. And we learn through work that, we have to conform, we have to fit in, and because those people get promotions or those people will do well, they are successful.
And you're right. And when you said conform and fit in, it's literally, you said, you moved your hand like that, and it's like there's this idea of like the body's constrained, almost like it translates into probably like in our body. It's like, I'm fitting in. I am not moving a hair in that direction because I need to fit in. Whereas dance and arts in general, not talk about dance here, but it's not fitting in. Actually, it's expressing the darkest things and also the most beautiful things, and without any boundaries, right? So breathe, basically, is the idea of like just breathing and just letting your mind and letting your body move, and you're not just and you don't have to conform. You still have to behave, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't feel oppressed. I think that's it. And I think I don't feel oppressed. Like I'm so lucky in that sense, because I go to work and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm just going through my life, and I express myself because I've got that mean of doing it. But then it's so sad when you talk to people and they're like, no, I'm so scared of dancing. I'm self-conscious, like you said. I'm too scared. I don't want to go because I don't know. I don't move well, and people will think that I'm weird. And it's like, why? We all die. Everybody dies at the end. Like, no one's going to remember you, because no one on this planet will be there in 200 years. So just do you. Like, oh my gosh, it's come back to this card. Oh my God, yes. There you go.
You are entirely up to you.
Yeah, I always think, every night when I meditate I always think on my deathbed or my last breath. I always think of my last breath. I know it's a weird thing.
No, it's not weird, because I do exactly the same thing.
Yes! So, you go. And imagine like it's your last breath, and you don't think of any of these things. You don't think of work. You don't think of, what did this guy think of me? Oh no, I said the wrong thing. You don't, right?
I've meditated on death. This sounds really morbid.
No.
But it has become such an important part of my journey, because I practice gratitude every day. I might have a really shit day, but I will always find joy somewhere. In this moment, I am alive, and every single moment after this, I am alive. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Every single every single evening I do that. I do that, and it obviously is impossible to constantly remind yourself that through your day. Obviously, you will take things at heart, and obviously you will. But it's so important. It's so important to, from time to time, stop and think. Actually, I'm alive, and there's no one else living with me in my head. No one else will die with me. I will die. You die on your own, right? Like there's no point worrying. Basically, there's no really point worrying about what people think of you or what you should have, because you never sit there on your deathbed thinking. Actually, you might regret things. Actually, you might think, you know what, like, why did I bother with this? Why did I spend so much time worrying about this? Why did I spend so much time doing that job I didn't like? Like, why can't, so make sure that every day you check in with yourself, and like maybe you're happy with what you're doing. And it doesn't mean it doesn't mean, yay, forget your job and do anything, life is great and you should live in the present. I don't really think that's true, because you can't do that, because you're human. You have to structure your life. Yeah, like, but chill out, like chill out. Like, nothing's actually that important. Nothing's actually that serious.